Hello, welcome to this live, and this is for you if you are in your weight loss zone, weight loss period after having weight loss surgery. So that's what we're talking about today. Do you want more weight loss after your weight loss surgery? That's the topic, and I've also called it Find Your Sweet Spot, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that. So if you're in your weight loss period after your weight loss surgery, we are chatting about things today that I think you'll be very interested in. I call it your weight loss zone or your sweet spot, because that's actually how I think about where I'm moving clients to if they've had weight loss surgery and their weight loss has slowed or stopped. There is a sweet spot. You're getting adequate protein, and you're getting a deficit of calories, deficit of energy, a bit less than you need, but your body relaxes and is happy to lose your adipose tissue, your fat tissue, because you're getting adequate protein. Now, if that sweet spot is on a continuum like this, and we're in the middle, you can have too little calories and too little protein, but also you can be on the other end of the continuum and have too many calories. So we want to find that lovely sweet spot. And I call it the sweet spot because you're eating adequate protein, you're satisfied, but you've got a deficit of calories, okay? And to show you what I'm talking about and to really paint that picture and welcome everyone that's jumping on, I'm going to talk about a client story. And just like with all of my other lives, I encourage you to put any questions, any comments in as I go through, and I'll come back to them at the end and answer them, okay? So I do that. I don't think there's any questions or comments yet, but that's what I do with all my lives. You can put at any point questions or comments, and they can be things that are slightly not related to what I'm talking about. That is fine. So I wanted to talk about, and we're going to call her Sarah, a client. She came to work with me at 5 months post-surgery, and her weight loss has stopped at 3 months after surgery. So that was really early for weight loss to stop. Imagine it. You've 5 months after surgery and you've gone nearly half your time after your surgery with no weight loss. So what I do with all my clients and what I encourage you to do, if you are in a place of slower or, which we expect your weight loss to slow over time, but your weight loss has stopped or you want more, is to really observe what is happening, where in your diet there are opportunities to improve, and also not only the what you eat, but how you eat. So in the observation period of the beginning to work together, Sarah and we went through and I led her through this process, and we really identified some really key things that were slowing down her weight loss or getting it to stop okay. She was drinking too many milky coffees and iced lattes, and yes, they were adding to protein intake, but they were giving too many calories or too much energy by delivering them. So that was one area that we identified. Another one was low protein intake in that kind of the bulk part of the day. I'd say I always talk about the early part of the day, but most of the day she was getting to later in the day, kind of after work, and had suboptimal protein intake. Okay, so that's another one. And then the other one, and this relates to that suboptimal protein intake earlier in the day, is that she was eating and snacking after dinner. The habit was quite ingrained. Her and her partner were very used to, before surgery, snacking and grazing after dinner. That was a very significant habit that she had with her partner when watching TV, and it's a very common habit. So the three things we identified, there were other things that we identified and worked on, but these are really three big things that were keeping her out of her weight loss zone, that sweet spot that I was talking about. Milky coffees, iced coffees, low protein or suboptimal protein intake in the day period, kind of most of the day, and also night eating. And what happens with night eating is when you eat after dinner, you feel a bit hungry, you don't reach for broccoli and salmon and broccoli. You often eat for high energy, discretionary foods. There's high carbs and high fat, okay? And then they add extra calories. So they were three things. They're very common things that we identified them, and then we started working on them. And so when I'm working with somebody, and I encourage you to do this as well, And they're one of the key areas that I think people really, when I'm from a bariatric dietitian perspective, it's not just what you eat. Yes, it comes down to that. The very much how you eat can really play a major role in your post-weight loss surgery journey. So we went back to basics, which I do for most of my clients. We go back to basics. We went through the weight loss success habits, and they help lead Sarah into a weight loss zone, into that weight loss zone. And so what do? We put a good amount of protein into that early part of the day, and we actually set a goal of how much protein she was to kind of aim for by dinner, okay? And that was a very good win and a clear win, because she could see, and she said, I can really see when I do that how it helps her manage her after dinner eating. So that was one. She loved coffee, and we kept some coffee, but we really put a limit on coffee. We put her coffee in the early part of the day when she was going to most enjoy it, and we also got some protein in there. So coffee does not have to be eliminated, but we needed to limit the number of milky coffees. So that was another key win, okay? And then also another thing we focused on is my protein bites ratio of 3 bites of protein at a meal to 1 bite of other. So if you're going out, if you're traveling, if you're eating at a conference, out of your kind of area of control, you do the 3 bites of protein, 1 bite of other, and you prioritize your protein goes up and your calories go down, because protein keeps you satisfied with less energy intake, but also your carbohydrates drop down as well, okay? So that was another one. And what happened over our period of working together was she went back into her weight loss zone, and her weight loss is continuing, okay? So it's a lovely example, because it's such a common scenario and a common pathway that people have. For Sarah to stop weight loss at 3 months after surgery, that is particularly or quite early. It does happen. Other people might be listening, and it might be you at 8 months after surgery, or it's definitely going to slow down, particularly after the 6 months. But I wanted to share this because her pathway and her journey has been really quite typical. And those old habits will come back, old eating habits, and they can be managed. And we do that step by step when we work together, and we've moved her back into a weight loss zone, that sweet spot. So I would love to hear from anyone on, and thank you for all your lovely waves. Is there any questions or thoughts? Do you relate to this? Have you got any other habits that you find maybe holding you back? Any questions, anything like that? Because I wanted to share this client story and the client win because it was such a lovely example. And while I'm waiting for you, if anyone's got any questions or thoughts, and you may not a problem. And for people that are just popping on now, I have talked through, if you want more weight loss after your weight loss surgery, you need to find your weight loss zone, your sweet spot. And I talked a little bit about that. And thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for your lovely, thank you. And I talked through a client's story and that's obviously months of us working together down to a couple of minutes of summary, but it's a very typical profile of many, many people that I work with. So for someone else, it may not be those same habits and those same things, there'll be something else. But there are often things that have come back in to your eating, what you're eating and how you're eating, that are contributing to your slower weight loss. Please know that there are a lot of other things that can interfere with people's weight loss after weight loss surgery that are outside of your control. And I've done other things on that. So we're not looking at the things outside of your control. We're always looking at what you have control or have impact over. And that's what you focus on, because that's empowering and that's what's going to give you the best result. We don't want to worry about or focus on things that we don't have any control over. So thank you, Anne-Marie, for your comment. There's been no other questions, not a problem. If you're jumping on now, this gets saved into the feed, into my Instagram feed, so you can always go back and watch it. I really appreciate everyone's time for jumping on. If you would like to know more about my coaching and support, please, one, you can send me a DM. You can check out the link in my bio of Instagram, and there's a program video which I explain more about my coaching, who my coaching is for, and the areas that I focus on in my coaching. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. And for people just jumping on now, unfortunately, you've come to the end, but check out this Save Live in the feed and you'll get the whole live. Thanks so much. Bye.